or see me no drew, why any juma we into a friend. Then I ever as done a demand uncle.
Okay. Now, I told you, who yet say, as an what tono. A dear nay see a bium, a baby drew has say.
Not no what tono, I was 37, and not omuyi, no. Ain't you know, if specialness if we 37, or shene, I will fee. What I say, or shene come my in I go how near your fire. Me only a drink, only a fine, but a ram, and I say no home fan on no home no earthy. Into specialness, no catcher says, senior or Suma, no, on penita, into Kayan Fan hospital into me, mamma, papa, Cora, say, Echo General Hospital called G form, say, Yam one came, no, Nankayan call, but you many a year already say, and never corner, a quine swan, and I'm afraid not be.
Okay. Now, obet me I confirm say the last few hours onya e car was as see so no na ne ho te sen.
Na no ho ye. No ho ye but na ne breathing no need to brief no enye papa.
Okay.
Oh I know. But no you okay, the pressure you good, the diabetes you good.
All right. Auntie Mama, that's a pass. Only I can say a away.
No, Miss Madam.
Well, we're speaking with Auntie Mama, the caretaker of Joel. She also happens to be the sister of the late Joel Aka. So she was basically saying that in the last few hours or days before his passing, he was actually quite okay, except the fact that he had difficulty in breathing. Right. Let's continue and do some other stories. Now, TV3 got results after we did a series of stories on the health of the ace musician. Now, here is a throwback on some of the stories.
TV3 reported on the deteriorating health condition of high lifer Joel Aka a fortnight ago. In the report, Joel Aka, arranger of the NDC's anthem and a party stalwart, expressed regret in the NDC neglecting him in times of need. Touched by the story, a group calling itself Friends of the NDC from the Ladade Kotopon constituency visited the legendary musician to empathize with him. Leader of the group, Edward Achu Delaseshi, presented an amount of 2,000 cedis to cut down his medical expenses, vowing to get the hierarchy of the party to support him. Joel Aka appreciated the group for extending a helping hand to him.
I wanted to remind them that they shouldn't let me die before they come and make Juaraka.
The group prayed with the ailing musician and wished him speedy recovery.
I pray that for whatever sickness he is suffering from, be sugar, diabetes, or stroke, or any other diseases, I pray for healing for him.
Once again, may his soul rest in perfect peace. You're still watching Midday Live. Don't forget that you can comment and send your views on any of our stories via our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Now, let's move away from some sad news and do some other stories. Now, workplace safety. We're talking about occupational and workplace safety. And my colleague, Kwabne Jugemfi, takes a scan of the workplace to determine if employees' safety is ensured.
On Saturday, April 7 this year, 6 contract workers at Newmont Ghana Gold Limited lost their lives following the collapse of a reclaimed tunnel roof at its Ahafo Mill expansion project. In November 2012, 9 people lost their lives through the collapse of a Melcom department store in Accra. These incidents highlight the hazards workers are exposed to in their work environment, while the Factories, Offices and Shops Act 1970 is yet to be implemented satisfactorily. Employers in Ghana are required by the Labour Act 2003, Act 651, to ensure that their employees are not exposed to conditions that will lead to work-related injuries and illness. In the same vein, employees are also expected to deliver their responsibilities, bearing in mind their duty of care. But are Ghanaian employers and employees aware of their safety regulations and responsibilities? The Department of Factory Inspectorate under the Ministry of Labour and Employment is mandated by law to inspect all work environment to ensure that employers adhere to safety regulations. Fred Ohine-Mensah is Chief Factories Inspector.
They know they are right, but very often it is fear of dismissal. They find it difficult to, voice out some of these things.
Chairs, desk, emergency exit and fire extinguishers are some of the basic items that inspectors examine at work site.
If it's an office, the sitting facility of a person should be in a way where the worker will not feel pain in any part of the body. Where there should be a footrest, there should be a footrest. It shouldn't be a sitting facility where the feet will be hanging or where the person will have to stretch to be able to, connect to a knob or a handle. Any process that the body will go through that will, bring about pain. That is what we look out for.
The Bureau of Public Safety noted that every company is mandated by law to have a safety policy.
That gives you the direction how the company intends to go, and it also empowers the worker and the employer, what their rights are, what their responsibilities are. So if you come to a workplace where they don't have a policy bothering on safety, health and environment, this organization is not structured. They do not know where they are going regarding this very important discipline. I don't have to come looking for your policy. It must be pasted at vantage points within the organization. In these times, companies are even required to put it on their website. I know of companies who are now printing their workplace policy behind employees' salary pay slips.
Article 24, Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution says that every person has the right to work under satisfactory, safe and healthy conditions.
Of course you can sue, but you need to be prudent. If you are suing, are you suing such that you leave the work? You can't sue and remain in that environment. Secondly, if you are suing for damages, in terms of particular injury you may have suffered. Until such damage has been occurred, until such injury has occurred, what are you suing to recover? Perhaps the workers' union in there may want to take it up.
With a workforce of less than 40 inspectors across the country, the Chief Factories Inspector, Fred Ohine-Mensah, admitted the outfit has not been able to carry out its duties efficiently. The company, according to him, the department is able to inspect about 3,000 out of the over 10,000 companies listed in their books each year.
If we have a full complement of the required staff, I think we can visit, a number of companies at least once every year.
Ghana is yet to pass a national operational health and safety law. TV3, Kwabna Edu Jemfi.
Well, it's worth noting that the 2018 World Day for Safety and Health at Work was marked on the 27th of April. However, Ghana is marking it today. That's the 28th of April 2018. Let's move away from all that and do some politics. As elections are underway in the northern region to elect new regional executives for the new Patriotic Party, key amongst those contesting is the chairman of the party in the region, Bugri Nabu. Now, let's go live now and get some updates from Christopher Amwako. He's our correspondent on the ground. Good afternoon, Christopher.
Good afternoon.
Right. Now, we are told the elections are underway. Can you run us through those contesting, especially for the position of chairman?
Yes, for the position of the chairmanship, today at the Ali Umama Sports Stadium, where the Northern Region MPP, the election currently underway, we have Mr. Mohammed A. Bant Masamba, who is number 1 on the ballot. We have Al-Haji Abdallah Hindu, number 2 on the ballot. Al-Haji Majid Sibawe, number 3. Daniel Bugri Nabu, the current chairman, number 4. And Al-Haji Amadou Inisa, the Gomba boy, who is number 5 on the ballot. So in all, for the position of the chairmanship, there are 5 candidates contesting for the position.
Okay, Christopher, can you give us an idea of the mood currently on the grounds?
Yes, currently the delegates as well as the candidates are trooping in for the start of the program. The program, which was scheduled to start at 9, is yet to start. But looking at the demeanor of the people, even though the start of the program is getting late, but they are happy. People, supporters from the various candidates are going around, still campaigning for their candidates. And security, as we speak, is very tight.
All right. Thank you very much, Christopher Amwako. He is our correspondent on the ground. We'll be going back to him in our subsequent bulletins to find out exactly how everything panned out regarding this particular election. You're still watching Midday Live. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
Productions in partnership with TV3 and Presec at 80th anniversary present the latest Latif Abubakar play, Men Don't Die.
You heard that? Nonsense, the coconut. I know they had a dream. I dream say my wife, the whole night they can't kill me that. Hey, I dream say we they do but I tire. But she says she no tire. I they die. Hey, master, make I replace you for the dream inside.
You crazy? Watch at Jetty Annan and Eko Smith Asante live at the Accra International Conference Center on 28th and 29th of April. 2 shows each night, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Grab your tickets now at 80 Ghana cedis per show. Tickets available at Koala, Silverbird, Junction Mall, Joy FM, Hacho and Bacho Natoto. Shell shops at Sacramento Airport, East Legon, and Tema Community 11. Men Don't Die. It's proudly sponsored by Endelac Logistics, Yumi Yogurt,
Feraldo Drinks,
media partners. Tickets hotline 0275 027 000. Globe Productions. Experience the best.
Log on to www.3news.com for more news and updates of our major stories. Join us on Facebook 3newsgh for live streaming and comments on our page. Like and follow us on Twitter at 3newsgh and at 3sportsgh. Like our pictures on Instagram, TV3 Network. If you missed our live shows, watch a playback on YouTube, TV3GH. TV3, first in news, best in entertainment.
This is how you take on the world. This is where you connect to the nation.
We are ready to take over and thrive.
But is that the case?
Red Sea for them to gain
communications.
This is what reliable news is all about. And this is where it all begins. This is who we are.
I am Solis Rose Corte.
I am Isamon.
I am Natalie Fort.
My name is Alfred Okamse.
News 360 every night, 7 p.m. only on TV3.
To every story, there's a deeper meaning, a host of angles, which, when reported with the highest ethics of journalism, bring out the perspectives that matters most to you. That's what News 360 is all about. I seek to climb higher, dig deeper, and go further to bring you 360 degrees of the news and what happens thereafter. I'm Natalie Fort. Join me on News 360 every weekday at 7 p.m.
Business News segment is brought to you by
Welcome back to Midday Live. Let's start the business news segment from the banking sector, where banking consultant Dr. Richmond Itiahene has warned that benefits from the recapitalization of banks will be short-lived if it is not supported by currency stability. At a governance and banking lecture in Accra, he argued the speedy depreciation of the local currency would nullify the gains from recapitalization.
The banking industry is feeling a lot of pressure in today's changing market. With the takeover of UT Bank and Capital Bank last year, the negative capital adequacy of Unibank, and the central bank shutting down some microfinance companies, the central bank has come under pressure to act on its mandate. Speaking at the April session of Accra Speaks, banking consultant Dr. Itiahene called for strict enforcement of prudent banking regulatory practices.
The microeconomic instability, we've heard about it over and over again. They talk about high deficit, budget deficit, they talk about inflation, but what we haven't talked about is the currency depreciation. There must be a concrete effort. We should manage the currency so that in the next 10 years, I will not be sitting here to tell me to bring more capital.
He said standards within the Ghanaian banking sector are falling and identified poor corporate governance practices and regulatory practices as major cankers affecting the sector.
Ineffective board practices, dormant board committees, overbearing CEOs and the board chairmen. One of the outcomes have been poor and weak risk management practices, failure of corporate governance, and poor and weak and lax supervision. Combination of the two. That is what we have today.
Dr. Itiahene warned that a delay to sanitize and control the activities of banks and financial institutions in Ghana will lead to systemic failure.
Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association has welcomed the ratification of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Now, President of the association, Joseph Obeng, says the agreement will open up the Ghanaian economy and catapult Africa into industrialization.
Leaders of 44 African countries have signed a deal to create one of the world's largest free trade blocs. The agreement was signed at a summit in the Rwandan capital, Kigali. It is hoped the deal will increase prosperity for 1.2 billion Africans, but 10 countries, including Nigeria, have refused to sign the deal, and it will need to be ratified by all the various parliaments of the signatory countries before the bloc becomes a reality. Ghana's parliament has, however, ratified the agreement after laying it and taking it through the necessary processes. Programs Officer at the Third World Network and International Research and Advocacy think tank, Sylvester Bagoro, explained the implications of the ratification.
The best thing for us is to sequence the opening of African economies to some productive benchmarks. And so, take a country like Ghana. If you take about 7 of our products, they are mainly raw materials. If you take them out, then we have a few products that we're going to be exporting to Africa.
The agreement will create a single market for goods and services facilitated by the free movement of persons in order to deepen the economic interests of the African continent in accordance with the Pan-African vision. GUTA President Joseph Obeng has proposed government set up a committee to analyze and know how best Ghana can take advantage of the free trade.
Those countries or nations who will be skewed in their mind that, okay, now we are not going to pay duty for these things and all that, might think it's not good. But we are looking at the larger interest. If your country is industrialized and then everything is going on, you open up your economy and all that as against the duties that you trade among ourselves.
The African Continental Free Trade Area would remove barriers to trade like tariffs and import quotas, allowing the free flow of goods and services between its members.
All right, so let's go back and talk about occupational and work safety, where Ghana joins the rest of the world to commemorate the Day for Safety and Health at Work. It is an annual campaign to promote safe, healthy and decent workspaces. The theme for the 2018 World Day for Safety and Health at Work is occupational safety and health, vulnerability of young workers. The Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals, GSEP, has outlined a host of recommendations to promote occupational safety and health. Now, joining us in the studio is Bright Bansa. He's the General Secretary of the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals, GSEP, and also a health, safety and environmental well-being specialist. Good afternoon, Bright, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Right. Now, what recommendations is GSEP talking about that is to improve the occupational safety and health of workers?
Okay, so thank you for having me. And before I go to the recommendations, I would like to put on record that Ghana as a country does not have an Occupational Health and Safety Act. We have various acts that are fragmented. And so as an institution, we are encouraging the government that they should go ahead and pass the Occupational Health and Safety Bill. Now, as an institute, we know that we currently have 504 million young employees between the ages of 15 and 24 globally who are vulnerable to various workplaces, risks, and hazards. And so what are we saying? We are employing the government and various stakeholders to improve upon the collection of data so that these data can be analyzed and used to protect young and vulnerable people at workplaces. We're also saying that these data must be made use, to these young employees, and they should be given the needed and requisite information whilst they undertake their work at the various places. Now,
speaking of that, do you think the Ghanaian, the employers in Ghana generally, per your organization's estimation, do you think that their safety, their health and their well-being is a priority for employers?
Well,
from what you know so far as an organization, how would you assess it?
To some extent, yes, because we have some organizations that take employees' health, safety, well-being very serious, but others also don't. And so I cannot generalize that all employers in Ghana don't take employee health, safety, and well-being seriously. But I think we can still do more as a country.
Okay. Now, speaking of doing more, what are the particular recommendations, as I asked earlier, and what are they intended to achieve exactly?
Okay, so employers tend to benefit in terms of saving costs, because if you put in the right health and safety measures, trying to mitigate your risk, employees wouldn't get injured on the job, and you paying compensation to employees when they are injured. Now, legal tussles between employer and employee would be reduced significantly, and medical bills of cost to employers and even to the government to a large extent would be controlled. And so we are very much concerned about this. Quite apart from the economic reasons and the legal reasons, there are also moral reasons to why employers must protect employees. Now, someone goes to work, assuming your son or your daughter or your husband goes to work and never returns back home. How are you going to take it? And so we are encouraging, both employers and employees to follow, the needed procedures. But before that is done, the question is, do we have a health and safety bill or act as a country? This will form the basis. Without that framework, trust me, to a large extent, it will not be possible.
Okay, now, so as far as we're concerned, the labor law does take a look at, the overall well-being of a worker in his or her work.
Just a bit of it, and not holistically.
Okay.
Unlike countries like the UK and then the US, Australia and elsewhere, Ghana doesn't have a comprehensive Occupational Health and Safety Act that protects employers and employees here.
Okay, so running off for us, to what extent would this legislation you're talking about address the challenges that the workers and even employers face?
Okay, so the extent is going to be that there will be a form of, let me put it, that employers will be compelled and employees would also be compelled to follow the standards, right? But currently there is really nothing that compels employers or employees to do likewise. And also, when this bill is passed into law, I mean, there will be that kind of liberacy, you know, for workers in this country.
All right. So your final thoughts, your advice to employees and employers regarding health and safety in the workplace?
My advice will not only go to employers and employees, but it goes to all stakeholders, the media. What are we saying? We encouraging the media, just as you did in the fight against Galamsey, to come out to support this clarion call. Of course, GSEP, the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals, cannot do this alone. The Trade Unions Congress, which employees belong to, are encouraged also to come out and support us in this regard, because by and large, they are the topmost or the utmost beneficiaries of this.
All right. Thank you very much. We've been speaking with Bright Bansa. He's the General Secretary of the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals, GSEP. Now, let's move away from that and do some other stories where danger looms at Ablekuma in the Ghana West municipality as private developers have encroached a buffer zone of a quarry site with no regard for the dangers involved. Stanley Nibleu reports residents have built near the main explosive storage facility.
The quarry site, now managed by Regimano Concrete Products, have been operational for the past 31 years. The area, earmarked as a buffer zone, has now been encroached by residents. What's more worrying is, houses and structures have been erected near where explosives used in blasting the rocks are kept. Ideally, settlers are to live 500-meter radius away from the blasting and the explosive storage sites, but that has been flouted. And although there are enough warning signs, they have been ignored. Some buildings are at the foundation level, and most homeowners here admit they do not have building permits, but claim legitimacy of their property.
We bought the land from the chiefs. So we asked for that one. Them is between them, they are chiefs. We don't have problem with them. Now the town have been developed. They have to locate.
This area is an extension of the Ablekuma community. Ideally, this is not a place for habitation due to the constant hacking of rocks just behind me by use of explosives. But chiefs of this area have sold these parcels of land to private individuals, and they are being developed each day. Just as you can see far behind me, hundreds of such buildings are being constructed each day, and the occupancy of residents here could be very dangerous due to the explosives used here.
Chiefs and elders, together with management of the quarry site, are unhappy with the development.
There's one community community.
We are ready to cooperate with the company, but the managers are adamant.
Managers of the quarry site claim they are doing their best to prevent any eventuality, but cannot guarantee safety of the residents.
The law says nobody should be here, and those who are responsible to look after the law, they are all here. They come here every day. And surprisingly, there's an injunction from court that nobody should be here.
Midday Live returns shortly with some sports news action with Yao Ofosulabi. Do stay.
Everything you need to know. Captivating. Reliable. Credible and breaking news. All at your fingertips.
Who's found Asamoah Gyan?
finish. Being on top of the news has never been easy. Visit us at www.3news.com for all your reliable news. 3 News, news at your fingertips.
Hello, I'm Patrick Ewa, founder and president of Ashesi University. Join me this 30th April on Time with the Captains as I share my experience in business and entrepreneurship with tertiary education students.
Time with the Captains, only on TV3. Don't miss it.
There are lots of amazing stories out there. What we do on News 360 is to bring to you the most compelling news by teasing out the right pieces that bring the stories to life. My job is to present to you the news in the most gripping manner and asking the critical questions that bring out the needed detail out of the stories. My name is Alfred Okanse. Join me on News 360, Monday through to Friday, 7 p.m. on air and online only on TV3.
The sports segment is brought to you by
Hi, good afternoon. It's time to do sports here on Midday Live. My name is Yao Ofusula. I've been on to our very first story. And Isaac Dogbe is seeking to join a legion of Ghanaian boxing world champions when he faces Jesse Magdaleno later today in Philadelphia in the United States of America for the WBO Super Bantamweight title. The Ghanaian, undefeated in 18 fights.